You're listening to the Impact Implosion on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
It is December 15th, 2016. It is another episode of the Impact Implosion, the last one of the year. As always, I am Seth Drake, and I'm on the other end. The fake news reporter to my active volcano, Mr. Mike Poland.
I'm Tom Tucker, and I'm here reporting news.
Oh boy, this show went out with a bang.
If TNA had not gotten in Fight TV or whoever they got, and this would have been the perfect way for them to end.
Anthem, yeah, the Fight Network, freaking got that deal. This would have been perfect. Just absolute, it's just batshit insanity. So, we don't have much news to talk about.
That's fine, let's just get into the show.
True. We need to get into the show because all the news was all about the total non-stop deletion and all the shit that was... Well, oh yeah, Jeff Jarrett's in talks to return to TNA. That's the only thing that's in the news.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, great. Oh, and the Tribunal are done.
Which we talked about last week.
Yeah, they're done.
No loss. No big loss.
No big loss. But yes, the big... Let's get into total non-stop deletion. Delete.
Delightful.
And we start off the show with Senior Benjamin reading a warning in Spanish saying, "These are trained professionals. Do not attempt this at home." And then we had Vanguard 1 saying, "No drones were harmed in the making of this epic."
Except when we get to the ODB appearance later.
We go to Action News 7 special report, Chaos and Cameron. The anchor informs us that there is a final deletion going on at the Hardy compound, and then a special reporter is on the scene talking about how there's a freaking volcano that's appeared.
It'll go off of the Hardy Blues for whatever reason.
The whole thing, the Hardys say that if it ends, the land of deletion will end, which means Cameron will be gone. And Itchweed shows up, he has a weed whacker and went crazy.
Oh, yes.
Good old Itchweed. We then begin the show with an interesting opening where we see the Hardys setting up things, preparing the battlefield for Massacre, Matt on his boat, Jeff doing things, Jeff landscaping. Even though, as we find out, Jeff's not the one who landscapes.
No.
Anyway, Broken Matt, Jeff, and Benjamin appear in the Dome of Deletion, which has 50. And they basically mentioned this is 50 of Matt's friends. 50 people as your attendance.
It's independent wrestling at its best.
At its best, it is an independent wrestling. They don't lie. And saying, "Oh, we're at a full capacity here." No, we got 50 people, and they're all Matt's friends.
Yep. So
the ring is set up, and we have an entrance, which is Matt's head with its mouth. So people come out of Matt's mouth. And Matt says they will be defending the titles later tonight, and mentions that King Maxwell will be making his debut. Ah, yes. One of the things we do notice is Pope is not there. We have Josh and JB. And Pope 3 minutes in, we're already like, this show is probably better than most WWE shows and pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Rockstar Spud interrupts.
To his face music, no less.
And he's like, well, because the music he was using was Billy Corgan's, and
yeah. So
he's stuck with that music now. He says, there will be no deletion tonight. Of course, everyone says, there will be deletion tonight, and he trash talks everyone. He talks about how Matt's stupid, how everyone's stupid, and he talks about how his Gardner and Drone are stupid. Hey, you leave Vanguard 1 and Senior Benjamin out of it. They're awesome. And he even mentions this, King Maxwell is more over than I ever was. And he hasn't even wrestled yet.
Give it a second.
And he's like, I'm going to challenge King Maxwell to his first match. And Matt's like, as runner of this total non-stop deletion, I accept your challenge, and it will be a no disqualification match. And I'm like, Spud, you sure you're okay with this? He just basically sets you up. And then he brings out King Maxwell, who is driving a toy Mercedes.
Huh.
Yes. As Spud is waiting for him in the ring, Senior Benjamin pops up, tases him. Maxwell gets in the ring, pins Rockstar Spud, and the little kid gets a win.
Oh, boy.
Poor Spud.
He can't catch a break.
And in our first appearance, Disco Inferno was there. He's like, yeah, hey, they're the cameos, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's just there for a freaking cameo, man. And I glad it ain't me.
Mm-hmm.
So then it will be
go
the
to the
Edwards
poker
Franklin match will be for the world title, and we see that Franklin has entered the Hardy compound in his nice Jeep, and Edwards comes from the woods in his wrestling gear with no shirt on.
Oh,
I'm like,
Edwards.
hope he didn't catch anything. Jesus. And
That's
as this
a really
continues,
good idea.
I am thinking somewhere Jim Cornette has taken a Louisville Slugger and hit himself in the head watching this.
Oh, boy.
More fake news, as we, once again, shows us that the roads are closed, but the Helms Dynasty is here, and they say, screw the road closures, we're going in. And we also see the Rock and Roll Express, or the express that rocks and rolls, arrive to the Hardy compound and go into the house, as Matt is happy to see them. And the anchor is shocked to see Ricky Morty and Robert Gibson. And he's like, I might want to play some bets. So Sienna is in the ring, and she immediately gives us some bad news. She calls out Rosemary, but she knows that Rosemary's not here because apparently she's not allowed at the Hardy compound.
Yes, because she tried to kidnap Maxwell.
Yes, apparently when it was open invitation, Rosemary was not on the was the only exception. Hey, except her. She tried to kidnap
later
my
on,
kid.
The K was the rest of her friends were allowed.
Yeah, even though they were also trying to kidnap Maxwell.
That makes terrific sense.
Oh, yeah. So she says she is announcing herself as number one contender and puts as an open challenge for it. And the original Vanguard 1 accepts. But for some fucking reason, the ref says no. You can't do this. You're not a wrestler. You can't do this. You're not. And freaking Sienna's like, I want to reinstate what I've said. I meant any person fight me. And a beer truck is in the back, and it's ODB. ODB is returned. Oh, dear God.
For one night only.
And the ref gets knocked down early. This match is basically boring. But except the ref gets knocked down, ODB covers Sienna after a steel chair shot, because Sienna brought a steel chair into the ring. Vanguard 1 comes down to make the count. He gets to 2, but the ref pulls him out saying, you're not allowed to do this, man. I'm the ref. And meanwhile, the ref's arguing with a fucking drone. Sienna hits ODB with a chair and hits the silencer to pick up the win.
Which is like a flying forearm of some sort.
And Josh says, I need to call Bob Ryder. And I'm like, yes, call him so we can delete his fat ass.
There's not a 5-star hotel in this place. You're in North Carolina. Of course, there probably isn't too many 5-star hotels.
Meanwhile, the Helms Dynasty approaches Matt from the back. Oh, wait, first, ODB sees Vanguard 1 and lets him motorboat her. Lets the machine motorboat her.
Oh, good God.
With a full view of with her cleavage. Special camera.
Can't unsee that.
Hey, you wouldn't mind it.
Oh, you're probably right.
So yes, Helms says this match has to be in the ring, and then Matt has a premonition, and he has his scribe with him, and he says, "Welcome back, scribe," who is supposedly not real. As once again, he's like, What's a scribe? Who? As Andrew Everett asks, what's a scribe? But he says, someone will be in the lake of reincarnation, and we will see a horrible reincarnation tonight.
Oh, boy.
So, we just said fuck it because Itchweed is making his wrestling debut tonight. But we gotta go to commercials, and one of the commercials, I'm not making this up, is something called VI Poo.
What?
We need to, it's a spray that you use after you take a dump in the toilet, but they try to do terms like devil's donuts.
Oh, Jesus.
Shit like that. It is, dear God, a horrible commercial. Lord help us. And then,
Who buys these things?
I don't know.
Who sees that commercial and says, I want to buy that? Good Lord.
Soon, someone basically says, yeah, soon the whole roster will be Jeff Hardy's multiple personalities. And Baby Hardy posted on Twitter that he had to go on first so he wouldn't miss his bedtime.
Ha.
Oh, and Eddie Edwards responded to the whole him coming out in the woods with just his gear. And he's like, hey, you got to be prepared for anything.
But you're going through frickin' the woods and sticks and trees. You might want to wear
Champ got to be ready to go, bro. And that's what he said. So, yes, Champ got to be ready to go. Going on the fucking woods. You just fucking walked. You didn't even drive. You walked. So, apparently there's a volcano outside that they mentioned, and Itchweed comes out in a special mower. Well, he comes to the arena in a special mower, and he's wrestling a guy named Chet Sterling.
Yep.
And there's a spot where Itchweed hits a sleeper hold, but because he's apparently narcoleptic, he goes to sleep too. And the crowd has to chant, wake up, wake up, wake up. Both men wake up, and there's a spot where Jeff hits what looks like a 619, or Itchweed hits a drop kick onto the ropes while he's planted like you would usually see a 619, because Jeff can't do a 619. So they call it a 919. They call it a 919. Since it is
shot into a drop kick with his opponent on the ropes, or is it?
Yeah. On the bottom rope, yeah. So yeah, he puts Sterling through a table, rolls him back in the ring, and hits the pesticide elbow, which pins him 1, 2, 3.
They couldn't have gotten a Willow appearance instead of Itchweed.
Hey, I'm okay with Itchweed. I like Itchweed. Itchweed then grabs his weed whacker.
Oh, God.
And screws up. All it does, he puts it over Sterling, and all it does is mess up his attire. Instead of, kill him. Although we'll get to that shit later on.
Oh, yes.
And I'm at this point where I'm like, it's a poor time to quit drinking. Oh, yeah, and Itchweed, every time they do a cut or something, they have this Itchweed, cartoon effect. Where do-do-do-do, like the Batman 60s cartoon, not 60s show, where they just go, do-do-do, and they just show a picture. It's a picture of Itchweed. So, we gotta go back to the Hardy Zoo. We gotta replay this, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to disappoint everyone. No Grado versus Smokin' Joe Frazier.
Oh.
Yes, sadly, I was looking forward to Grado getting beat up by a fucking kangaroo. But we got to go back and see George Washington eat Matt Hardy's hat and Smokin' Joe Frazier kick. But yes, and someone says, TNA should just be American DDT, the Japanese company DDT.
Yep.
So we now have Eddie Edwards versus Franklin for the world title.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically, for the most part, a rather normal match, but then it starts getting interesting because fans Franklin accidentally, not accidentally, he punches a fan, and then the fans start holding him back so Eddie can chop him.
And
gets even more interesting as Eddie Edwards gets powerbombed into the fans. And then Franklin spears Edwards through the wall.
And that's the end for now.
That's the end for now, as they just keep fighting elsewhere.
No contest.
No contest, basically. It's time for Tag Team Apocalypto, as we also see Franklin and Edwards fighting in the woods. So basically, the total Tag Team Apocalypto is basically a Falls Count Anywhere match, where the match ends when every team is out but one, either having been pinned or submitted. The match begins inside the Dome of Deletion. The Broken Hardys come out, then the Helms Dynasty comes out, then the Express That Rocks and Rolls, then Decay, and then suddenly the fans got to evacuate the building because Apocalypto has begun, and it is not safe for them.
No.
Seriously, it is not safe for the fans to be here, as smoke fills the arena, and everyone has to leave. And it starts off with the Hardys and the Rock and Roll Express chasing away Decay and the Helms Dynasty via the fireworks.
Oh, boy, this thing.
And I am like, at this point, I picked a poor time to quit smoking. So we then see Matt jumps onto a vehicle that Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett are on, and Hurricane is driving. And so they try to escape, and Broken Nero's like, we gotta catch up with them, Ref. And Ref's like, but I don't have how are we gonna get there? It's like, get my motorcycle. And he's like, but I don't have a helmet. Don't matter. So yes, Brother Nero and a referee are on a motorcycle.
With no helmet.
With no helmet. Meanwhile, Decay are at the Hardy gates, and a bunch of tag teams are wanting in.
Yep.
And we see immediately the Hardys and Decay are fighting on the side of the road.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
what a bunch of hitchhikers.
Yes, there are. By the way, cars are beeping and honking at them as this is going on. What the hell?
Also, the Bravado brothers are there for some reason.
Yeah, they're there. Spud has a big partner, he says, and Decay just starts murdering people. They snap a dude's neck.
He did.
Yeah, they snapped the dude's neck. And I was again, quote, I replayed, quick, bad time to split sniffing glue. And then the Hardys and the Dynasty are fighting outside a convenience store.
Wow.
Wow, and Helms is like, you see, there's no merchandise here for you because you're old. You're old news. And I'm like, it's a convenience store. And then Decay versus a tag team called the Ugly Ducklings.
Which one of them is Kobe Torino?
Interesting enough, and the Ugly Ducklings lose. Quickly. Then Decay and not Decay. The Hardys and the Helms Dynasty are fighting outside of a railroad crossing, and a train is passing by.
Not the whole train.
I am shocked. They must have really been careful because that train could hit somebody.
Train.
Meanwhile, Showtime shows up, and they're fighting the Decay, and the Decay beats them up, and the Barados just sneak on by.
Nobody will notice us.
Nobody will notice us. Then some masked fat guys show up, and they get beat up by Decay, and Decay basically kills them by smashing a rock on their heads. Yes, there is legit murder here. We're just like, guys. So Rockstar Spud wants in, and he says, his partner will be here soon, and he's bigger than you guys. And his partner is here, but the lights bring us to a commercial break. And I am thinking to myself, maybe we need to call the cops. Decay is murdering people.
Unfortunately, I don't think the cops would go all the way out there.
Oh, no. So Rockstar Spud's partner is Swoggle, a.k.a. Swoggle.
God.
And yes, the joke is there that, yes, Spud's bigger than his partner, even though he says he's the big guy deal and all this stuff.
Yep.
So Helms Dynasty and Hardys are now fighting at the Lake of Reincarnation, and it
this spot.
And it looks like Brother Nero is going to be pinned while Matt is begging his boat for the save. And his boat suddenly moves. Skarsgård moves and stops Dynasty from beating the Hardys. Then the Helms Dynasty put the boats to a boat.
And at this point, I'm thinking, Shane Helms, this is what your career has fallen to.
Matt is unhappy that Helms is beating up Skarsgård and throws him into the lake. And Shane Helms comes back as Sugar Shane Helms, and the Helms Dynasty has become 3 count.
Oh, you're not Shannon. You're not Evan.
Shannon, you're not Evan. You guys suck. There were better dances than you. And they both super kick him back into the water. So the Hardys, meanwhile, then go and fight the Rock and Roll Express in a ring that is in the middle of outside. Meanwhile,
set up random rings around their property.
Yes, they have random rings around their property. A ref, the Bravados are fighting the Helms, and we see a ref was in the toilet taking a crap. So yeah, they have a ref now because he had to stop doing what he did. So to referee this match, the Bravados chase the Helms Dynasty into the building, but the Helms Dynasty, without Shane Helms now, has locked the door. So they're locked out of the building, and the ref, I want you to remember, this is a Falls Count Anywhere match. You can only win by pinfall or submission, and the ref says, I will DQ you two at the count of 5 if you do not open this door.
Sure.
I'm just like, whatever. Fuck it. So the door is unlocked.
We're not getting paid for this bit anyway.
Yeah, the doors are unlocked. So yeah, they listened and unlocked the doors. So now they are fighting in a smoke-filled dome of deletion. Meanwhile, as Robert Gibson and Matt Hardy are fighting in the ring, 2 cranes are on the opposite side of the ring. Brother Nero and Ricky Morton are on top of the cranes.
Oh, Jesus.
And they are like fighting on top of cranes. Crane fighting, I am not kidding. This is happening. So, Matt Hardy gets ahead of Robert Gibson, beats up Robert Gibson, and because Ricky Morton's beating up Brother Nero, he puts Robert Gibson's crane up and makes him stuck up there. He's like, get me down! Get me down! You goddamn broken heart! So, Jeff goes for a Twanton off of a crane onto Robert Gibson, but he misses, and Matt has to make the save and hit the Twist of Fate on the Robert. So the Rock and Roll Express is eliminated, and Ricky is still stuck on the damn crane.
Get me down from here!
Get me down from here! Come on! Get me down from here, please! So,
You broken son of a bitch.
So, while the Bravados and Dynasty are fighting and knock each other out, Spud and Hornswoggle show up, and Swoggle hits people with chairs, but Spud decides to be an idiot, push Hornswoggle away, and pin the Bravados to eliminate him. Swoggle is pissed at Spud for stealing his win, and attacks him and hits the Tadpole Splash. Spud is then pinned by Trevor Lee, so they are out.
Yep.
And Ricky is still stuck on the crane as Franklin and Eddie are fighting in the woods. And who should make a cameo making fun of Ricky Morton for being on top of the crane but Road Warrior Animal?
Is that you, Ricky?
What the hell are you doing up there? So yes, then as Decay have beaten up their last opponents, DCC shows up. Well, James Storm in the DCC mask, and a bunch of other guys in DCC masks show up, and they try to attack the Decay, but Decay beats him up. Then another guy in it, as James Storm comes out, another guy in a DCC mask shows up, and it's the driver from the leader Decay who got depantsed, and the guy from the Great War who wanted a fight.
Who the hell are you?
Matt Storm does not know who he is, and he super kicks the driver. And in a moment, I kind of regret seeing because it made James Storm look like an idiot, although it wasn't fair. Decay pins the driver, and so Storm's eliminated. DCC is eliminated. And Storm's like, ew, I don't even know this guy. He's not my part. He was in a mask. Someone was like, I think you just killed a guy, Abyss. And Abyss is like, quiet down or you're next. So, anyway, the Hardys, Decay, and the Helms Dynasty are fighting. As well as Eddie and Franklin are fighting near the volcano, which explodes.
And we go to the fake reporter.
Yeah. Saying, we all may die. We're all...
Oh, God.
And the hurricane is here, too.
Is in the Hardy's hands.
The fate of and the hurricane is here, too.
Yes. They bury the Helm Dynasty.
The Dynasty are beating up Matt as Decay are beating up Nero. They basically work... So Dynasty are fighting Matt inside a row of Hardy symbols. Meanwhile, Abyss has Janice. And he tries to use fireworks, but Steve stops him. And it looks like curtains for Brother Nero, but Vanguard 1 makes an appearance to shoot some fireworks at Abyss.
Why would you stop Abyss, Steve?
No, Abyss stops Nero from using the fireworks. Vanguard 1 saves... Vanguard 1 shoots fireworks.
Oh.
To stop Abyss and Steve from killing Nero. So, we go back to Broken Matt, and the Helms Dynasty are beating him up, but then the Hurricane shows up to save him from Dynasty. Helms is a good guy now. The Dynasty are eliminated. Matt pins him, and they literally bury him. And in a great moment,
stab at Triple H.
They took us. Even the man with 3 H's would be proud of this burial of young upcoming talent. I'm glad you are in the side of good, Helms. So they click shovels. So we see Franklin fighting Eddie, and Swoggle tries to fight Franklin, but gets knocked out. And
he tries to spear him.
Yeah, Eddie.
Good move.
Eddie jumps off the porch onto Franklin, and that's the last we see of those two. As the Hardy symbol goes on fire, and Decay and the Hardys are fighting on it. And once again, the Hardys seem to be in trouble. Abyss tries to use Janice, but Matt hits a low blow and hits Abyss with Janice. And Crazy Steve and Brother Nero are fighting on the volcano, and I am not shitting you. Brother Nero, Twist of Fate's Crazy Steve into the fucking volcano.
Yes.
Which launches his ass out. And he's like, ah! And he crashes into the ring. And Matt Hardy pins him. And the world is saved.
Yes.
Remy reveals, like, the 6 of us is like the 7 of us. And Remy reveals she's pregnant.
Oh, boy.
And they're like, we have saved Cameron, North Carolina! And that is how this show ends.
Fascinating.
Holy shit. Volcanoes. Drones getting motorboated. Boats coming alive.
3 count. The hurricane.
2 young up-and-comers getting buried. Literally.
Well, 1 young up-and-comer, Trevor Lee.
Freaking Hornswoggle.
How would you explain this to somebody who's watching with you who's never watched DNA?
Turn your brain off, literally. This is just entertaining.
Yes.
Don't think about any outside wrestling rules, because don't think of reality. This is in a whole world of its own.
It's a different world than you're used to.
Yes, there is no reality.
It's Matt Hardy reality.
It's the broken brilliance. And this is why I don't want to see the Hardys in WWE, because WWE will take away Matt's creativity, and all of this will go away.
Yeah.
We will not be able to see a man get shot out of a volcano. And through editing, even though you know damn well he did not, he probably just landed and got rolled into the ring and not dropped all the way from like 20 feet in the air into the ring. And still live, by the way. He's still technically alive, despite the fact that Biss may be bleeding. Abyss may be dead. There are dead luchadors.
Yep.
There is a guy who got his neck snapped.
That guy did.
Yeah, that guy did. The only disappointment, no Bucks of Youth, and no Grado versus Smoke and Joe. But other than
Grado
that,
sort of lost.
but you know what? And they need to do with Eddie and Lashley or Franklin, have them still fighting. Like every week on YouTube, they're still fighting somewhere.
They fight their way back to the Impact Zone.
And then at the Impact Zone in January of their first show in January, have the first thing be them fighting to the ring and the match finishes.
Yeah.
To be technically the longest match in wrestling history.
3 weeks.
3 weeks they have fought. Or at least
somehow dying or taking a nap.
Or at least have moments where they're like fighting and then just, eat, then go back fighting, but no sleep.
Last week spears him into a buffet table.
Yeah. All right. Pass me the food. No, I want the ketchup. No, I want the ketchup. Get back fighting.
Where's the pie?
God damn it. Have them fight in various places. That would be entertaining as hell. But it would probably be something TNA would not do.
Or at least not be smart enough to,
it's probably just going to end a no contest. They're probably just going to say it's a no contest, and that's it. Which is sad.
Pick it back up and say, well, you guys had no contest here, so we're going to just have you fight here on Impact. Or
in the main event, instead of the first match of the show, which would be great, just have them...
They have been fighting for 3 weeks. It's in the Guinness World Record.
3 weeks. You have seen them on YouTube fight in various places. They have somehow been on airplanes. Fighting, yep. Russell Crowe fighting around the world.
Yes.
So yes. That note, do you have anything to sell?
No.
Well, since this will be my last show, next week will be the induction of my final induction of the year, Ice Spiders.
What is that about?
It's about spiders, giant spiders, attacking during at a ski loft.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. And it's called Ice Spiders because they can survive in the cold.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And on that note.
All right. On that note, we will see you in 2017. And finally, we're going to bed.
Good night, folks, and have a happy new year.